Hello and welcome back. This is another 5th and 6th grade decimals video. And in this video, where our focus will be on how to divide decimals by other decimals. Okay, here is our first example. We're going to take 22.4 and divide it by 5.6. Now, the secret to this is that we don't actually want to divide by decimals. We want to divide by whole numbers. So we're going to use a little trick where we move some decimals around to make what we're dividing by a whole number. So let's say I'm going to start to set this up. I'm going to set it up as 22.4, and then I'm going to divide it by 5.6. So I'm setting this up in the standard algorithm. For this video, I'll use the standard algorithm to show you how to do the division. If you want to use a different way to divide, that's totally fine. You just would have to follow the same method that I'm using to move decimals, and then you can do the division on your own in a different method if you choose. Okay, so we're right now dividing by 5.6. We don't want to divide by 5.6. We want to divide by a whole number. So if I move this decimal over here, that goes from being 5.6 to 56. So that's perfect. But whatever I do on the outside, I must do the same thing to the inside. So since I moved this decimal one place to the right, I need to move this decimal one place to the right. Then I can go ahead and place a decimal up into my answer space before I begin to divide. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. So now that I've adjusted all my decimals, I can erase them because it's a little messy. So I'm going to erase this one, I'm going to erase this one, and I'm going to leave the decimals where I moved them. So now I can go ahead and divide using the standard algorithm in this case, or in a different method if you so choose, and then the decimal will already be placed for the answer. So 56 does not fit into 2. It doesn't even fit into 22. So we have to figure out how many times 56 is going to go into 224. So counting by 50s, that would be about, well, let's see, 4 times. So I'm going to try 4. So I'm going to do 56 times 4 over here and see if that works out to be 224. 6 times 4 is 24. And then 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. Perfect. So that's exactly 224. So I'm going to put the 4 up here, the 224 here, and subtract it, meaning that I have nothing left over. So once you have no remainder and no more numbers to bring down, you are finished. So our answer is right here. We're going to eliminate those zeros in the front because we don't need them anymore. They were just placeholders for us, and the decimals after the 4. So we can just go ahead and say that 22.4 divided by 5.6 is 4. Okay, here is our next example. We're going to take 2.65 and divide it by 0.5. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up. 2.65 divided by 0.5. Okay, so again, I don't want to divide by 0.5. I want to divide by 5. So to make that happen, I need to move this decimal over here one place. Then it goes from being 0.5 to 5. Whatever I did on the outside, I have to do on the inside, which means I need to move this decimal over one place to the right as well. Now, it might be tempting to move it too and make it a whole number as well, but then it wouldn't match what I did on the outside and it wouldn't be equivalent. So I'm going to go ahead and put the decimal up into my answer space before I begin to divide. And now I'm going to get rid of or erase some things. I'm going to erase this 0 here because now I no longer need it. This decimal in this line, this decimal in this line. Okay, so now I'm ready to start dividing. 5 does not fit into 2, so I'm going to put a 0 there. But 5 does fit into 26 5 times, so that's going to be 25 here. 1 left over, bring down the 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. When I subtract it, I get 0 left over. So again, as long as you have no remainder and no more numbers to bring down, you are finished. I can go ahead and cross off this placeholding 0 here, and my final answer is going to be 5.3. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to take 14.3 and divide it by 0.8. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up by writing 14.3 here and 0.8 on the outside. So again, I don't want to divide by a decimal, so I'm going to change that 0.8 into 8. So that doesn't happen. So I'm going to move that over here one space so it becomes 8. And then I have to move the decimal on the inside the same amount of spaces to match. So I'm going to have to move it one place over here and put the decimal up into the answer space. Now I can get rid of this 0 in front because I no longer need it. And now I'm going to erase some things that I don't need anymore, so it's a little more visually clear on what I'm doing. So 8 does not fit into 1. It fits into 14 once. So I'm going to put that here and subtract that. Then I would get a 6 down here, and I'd bring down the 3. 8 goes into 63. Ooh, tough one. 8 times 8 is 64, so that's going to be 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. And when I subtract it, I have to do a little regrouping to make that 7 and that 0. Okay, so now here comes something we haven't seen yet. This is the part where we have a remainder, so we have to keep going. So what I need to do now is add a 0 to my remainder and keep dividing. I'll keep dividing until either I have no remainder left, no more numbers to bring down, or my instructor has said, go ahead and round this to the nearest 10th or 100th or something like that. So 8 goes into 70. Well, we said 8 times 8 was 64, so that's good. We'll put 8 up here. We get 64 here. When I subtract that, I get 6 left over, so I've got another remainder, which means I need to add a 0 to the remainder and keep going. So I'm going to change colors real quick just so it sticks out to you a little bit more as I get to the bottom of the screen. 8 times 8 is 64. Oh, that's going to be 2. Oh, wait, we have to figure out how many times 8 goes into 60. That would be 7 times. Oh, that's too bright. Let's change it to this. There we go, 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. So when I put that down here, then I get 4 left over. So now I have to keep going. So as you can see, these can go on forever and ever. So they either finish out and terminate, or they tell you what place value to round to. I'm going to add a 0 to the remainder. 8 goes into 45 times. Lucky for us, 5 times 8 is exactly 40. So now we're at 0 remainder and we can stop. That means the final answer to this would be 17.875. Okay, here is our next example. We're going to take 15 and divide it by 0.24. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up and put 15 here divided by 0.24. Okay, so again, I don't want to divide by a decimal. So that means I need to move that decimal for the 0.24 2 spaces to make it a whole number. Now I need to do the same thing on the inside. But what you may have noticed is right now the inside doesn't have a decimal. It actually does have a decimal, it's just invisible. The decimal is always after the ones place. It's just we don't always write it if we don't have any decimal place values. So I'm going to make it reappear so that I can move it those 2 spaces. Now I'm going to move it those 2 spaces and put it out here and put it up into my answer space. If I don't have anything in those spaces, I'm going to put zeros. So I'm going to fill those in with zeros. Okay, now that I've got everything in the right spot, I'm going to erase this 0, these, and then leave that there. Okay, so 24 does not fit into 1 or 15, but it will fit into 150. If I count by 25s, 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, I do that in 6. So I'm going to go ahead and see what 24 times 6 ends up being. 4 times 6 is 24. And then 2 times 6 is 12 plus 2 is 14. So 144. Perfect. So I'm going to put 6 here, 144 here. When I subtract it, I should get 6 left over. Bring down the 0. Well, 24, again, if I think about it rounded to 25, 2 25s is 50. So that's pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. And I'm going to take 24 and multiply it by 2 to see how close I get to 60. 4 times 2 is 8, and 2 times 2 is 4. So that's 48. Okay, so I'll put a 2 up here, and a 48 here. When I subtract, I have to do a little regrouping. So I'm going to make that 10, and this 5. So that's 2 and 1. Okay, so we got 12 left over. Again, there's no more numbers to bring down, but I have a remainder, so I have to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and add a 0 to my remainder, and I'm going to keep dividing. So now I need to figure out how many times 24 fits into 120. Well, let's see. We did 24 times 6 and we got 144 earlier, and that was too much. So let's try 5. 4 times 5 is 20, and 2 times 5 is 10, plus another 2 is 12. That's perfect. I'll put 5 up here. I'll put 120 down here. When I subtract it, I get 0 left over. So now I am finished because there's no more numbers to bring down and I have a 0 remainder. The final answer for this one, after getting rid of these placeholding zeros, is going to be 62.5. Okay, here is our next example and our last one for today's video. We're going to take 609 and divide it by 0.8. So I'm going to put 609 in here and 0.8 here. So again, I don't want to divide by 0.8. I want to divide by a whole number. So I'm going to move that to the other side of the 8 to make it 8 instead of 0.8. And because I moved it one place on the outside, I have to move the decimal one place on the inside. There is no decimal on the inside. So I'm going to make the invisible one reappear, the one that's always there after the ones place, and move it one spot. Now I'm going to have to fill in that empty space with a 0. Okay, so now that everything's set up, I'm going to erase this and put this up into my answer space, and I'm ready to start dividing. So 8 does not fit into 6, but it does fit into 60. That would be 7 times. So I'm going to do 7 up here. This is 56. So 4 left over, bring down the 9. Then 8 would fit into 49. I want to say 6 times because I know 8 times 6 is 48. Then when I subtract it, I get 1 left over. Bring down that 0. 8 goes into 10 once, so that's 8. When I subtract it, I have 2 left over. Now I have no more numbers to bring down, but I still have a remainder, so I have to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and add a 0, and I'm going to switch colors here so that they sticks out a little bit more when I write on the bottom of the screen. So I got to add a 0 here and keep going. 8 fits into 20. I'm going to say twice because that's 16. When I subtract it, I get 4 left over. Add a 0 to the remainder, and 8 goes into 40 5 times. And that's good because we're out of space, and that fits exactly. Okay, so now that I have no remainder, I am completely finished. I'm going to get rid of this placeholding 0, and my final answer is going to be 761.25. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope to see you in another video soon.